Welcome to Ladies Kicking Ass, the no BS podcast for fierce, unstoppable women in the service industry. We're here to talk bold moves, big wins, and real talk on what it takes to build a life and a business you love. Let's get fired up. Hey badasses, welcome back to another episode of Ladies Kicking Ass. Today is going to be a good one. We're actually going to release a two-part series, this being part one, but we're going to talk about some things that we do within our business, HomeField OnSite, and what we do as far as marketing is concerned. There's a lot of different topics that come into play with marketing. I know these are some of the most listened to and downloaded podcasts is marketing and financial stuff. So I figured who better than to bring onto the podcast than my marketing genius that works with HomeField. This is Heidi Hooker, and she is our business development and marketing person with HomeField OnSite Environmental. And she is behind all the beautiful, pretty stuff that you see online and all the marketing communication that we put out into the world. So Heidi, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. First time ever on a podcast.
We love newbies, so this is going to be fun. There's no expectation for stuff like that, so then we can just have real, genuine, flowing conversation, and we'll just talk about all things marketing, which is what we do all the time anyway. So
exactly.
This will be great. This will be great. So what we want to talk about in part one today, we have recently went through a rebrand from Priority Pumping to the new franchise name of HomeField OnSite Environmental. And I want to talk to you about things that we've been doing with that and be able to encourage our listeners, if this is something they're considering or maybe in the middle of, that they can take some of the tips and tricks that we have been doing with our rebrand and maybe apply it to their business. Cool?
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. I know I do have a very good friend. She's been on here before, Megan, who has recently rebranded her septic business. Have you seen some of that stuff that's been going on? Yes. So it's been really cool to just see, exactly what people do when they go into rebrands. Sometimes it's a complete name change, like what we have done. That's what Megan did with her septic business too. But it's really sometimes about elevating what you want your customers to feel. How do you feel like we have been doing that with the rebrand from Priority Pumping to HomeField OnSite?
So with Priority Pumping, we already have a huge following. People know us and they know what we're all about. So I think with HomeField, it's just transitioning that, but also to show exactly how we're changing, what services we're evolving to, but also really digging in deep behind the scenes, showing the guys, showing the technicians, and just what we're all about and making us known in the community even more than we already are showing up.
Sure. Because sometimes people will watch it. I know my kids watch Jesus Juice on TikTok, and they're like, Mom, you got to start doing some stuff like this. It's just crazy. All those people that are watching him, the millions of people that watch him, are not septic providers.
Exactly.
Not even people in the wastewater stuff. As the kids call it, it is satisfying because they're watching, like a clog come out or something like that. So it's been really awesome to see what you've been doing with things behind the scenes. And it's so cool, too, for people to say, like when the technicians show up, they're like, oh, I know Seth. I saw him on.
Yeah.
And it can be TikTok or Instagram or even just on the website. People will come into the office. I know they've come in and talked to Lauren before to come in and bring money for an install or something like that. And they're like, oh, I know Lauren, I know you. It's almost like because they saw your face, they think they know you more.
And I feel like that's such a good thing for HomeField too, just not even as a business, but as portraying our brand. It's like you're talking to Lauren, who's awesome. I mean, Lauren has been with you for the longest, I would say in the office. And it's just great. Like people are like, hey, looking for Lauren. Like, they're looking for their best friend or their sister. So it's so nice to be able to just have that connection with people and really just show who we are as people outside of the business too.
Yeah. What are people's interests? I love like some of our plans coming coming up of even being able to say like, tell me something crazy about you, or tell me what your favorite food is. Like even just fun holidays and stuff. Like I know you posted one recently that it was like National Whiskey Day, and it was like, tell me what your favorite kind of whiskey is. There was a lot of people that responded to that.
Exactly. So many people that don't even respond or never have said anything are actually commenting. So
yes.
It's great to be able to interact that way and, respond to the comments and get to know more about them. So if you ever do see them, you're like, hey, how's, whatever you're trying to, well, I don't know where I was going with that one. But it's great, just to be able to connect with them on that individual level too.
You know what kind of whiskey to buy them when you take them out for lunch.
Exactly.
I think even more so behind that, like HomeField is a franchise model. So there's going to be multiple HomeFields, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be local HomeField franchisees. And we want it to be known as the home team for that city or county's septic and commercial wastewater needs.
Right.
And what better to do that than to showcase the actual people that work there? I know that we've received so many compliments on our website that's like, those are your real people? They are your real people. So sometimes when I mention this on the podcast, or even when I do lives or talking to people in the community, they're like, I just don't know. I can't get the guys to take pictures, or I can't get the guys to smile for a picture or something like that. What do you think the value is of really showing the faces behind the business name?
I think the first thing is it makes people so much more comfortable. You know who's coming to your home. You know who's going to show up. You know maybe even a fact about them, so it's easier to relate to them. But with our guys, like, I don't know if it's just we lucked out and we got great people or what it is, but they participate for the most part in your wild stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a great thing to be able to, like, we have Justin. He's new. He's coming in and got a couple pictures of him. He's a little tough. Got to work on him. But I think now that he's gotten to know us a little more and we say hi to each other every day, and since we put a table of Tanya's together, we bonded through that. So I think now with getting some pictures of him, I think that'll be easier. But it's just such a great value showing people, because people don't want to buy from a company necessarily. Mm-hmm. They want to buy from other people. Yeah. So I think that is just so valuable. Even if you're a little camera shy or whatever it is, you can find ways around that. Just get people involved, even if it's several people in the video or picture. Once they see other people doing it, I think they're more prone to join in on the fun.
Yes. Oh, and I love like the photo shoot we were able to do when we did OnSite Installer magazine, because we had our entire team out there. So there was a great opportunity to just take candid photos and little video bits of everybody out there. Everybody looked sharp in their new HomeField stuff they had on. And there was like a sense of pride of having that day, because it was so cool to be featured in that magazine. And it's just been so fun to see like those little videos pop up here and there of stuff. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be that you got to come up with brand new content every single day to demonstrate, a feeling with your brand. Like just go out to a job site, have everybody meet at maybe an install job or a service job that the customer well, and just be there for 30 minutes and take some photos.
Yeah, you can reuse those photos so many times.
Yeah.
Make them into videos so you will have lots of content for days.
Yeah, one photo is not one post. You have to use them for a lot of different things.
And that's another thing that's been great with, going through a rebrand. You can take some of the things, you can look back and say, this worked for priority, or this got a lot of engagement. Flip the colors, flip the logo, add a few new things, and it's new again. People aren't going to remember what they saw. I saw that post 31 days ago. Why am I seeing it again? No one's going to think that.
Yeah, really, in all actuality, about 5% of the people that follow you see your posts anyways, which is a crazy number to be all distraught that somebody's going to think. Think of how many posts you scroll through on Instagram in like 5 minutes. Well, if you're with a teenager, it's about 7,000. Because they have TikTok thumbs. But you even sit there, you go through 100 different posts that people have on there. You're making so many decisions and seeing so much stuff every single day. No one's going to remember your post from 31 days ago.
Exactly.
And in all actuality, some of the best tips that I receive in the training that I take is to watch those metrics behind some of those things and repost it again. Don't touch it. Don't change anything. Just repost it again. Like post it as if it's original content, because it's fascinating what works sometimes pretty good will like be something that goes viral the second time.
Exactly.
So it's really cool how that works. So there's just some good information, just like the things that we've been kind of doing with some of the stuff there. As far as rebranding goes, priority pumping was something that we had all created. It was something everybody was really proud of, the name Priority. You know, we made things priority at our business, you know, like customer service and those things. How has shifting it to HomeField we've been able to keep that, but even elevate it to a new level of excellence? How do you think we've been able to do that?
I feel like it's pretty much a glow up for us. You know, we're taking something that's super great already and just making it more great than it already is. I think the best thing about it is being able to further reflect the services we offer, because priority pumping was a great name and it did portray what we do. However, HomeField is like growing up. We've expanded, you know, we have more services. So people don't think, you know, we only do septic pumping. You know, there's such a huge side of it, you know, the installs, the things people don't think about, the grease straps for restaurants. So I feel like it's also going to help us to be able to connect further to those businesses or to those other homeowners that haven't already seen us. So it's going to be great to be able to follow this even further and see how much further we do go with it.
Yeah, it really is an exciting change. And I really think that if you're going through a rebrand, it really comes from the people inside of the business as to how customers or previous clients will respond to that. I think we've had incredible buy-in of what we are doing here with the name and brand change that we've done. And I think it's just really awesome that when you are going through a rebrand, you really do have to explain the benefits and the reasons why we're doing it. Just saying simply, we're just going to change the name, and everybody's like, well, that's dumb. Why are you doing that? You know, how do you think that we've been able to do so well with everyone's buy-in with the name change?
So I think with that, I had you make, you know, that video explaining why are we changing? What does this mean for us? Really explaining it to people. And I think coming from, you know, the owner and the face that people know, you know, they're going to really take well to that. They're going to be like, okay, this is it. You know, it's reassuring them that nothing is changing other than, you know, our name, the services are going to be elevated, and what we do is just going to be even a bigger reach. You know, just assuring them and giving them more reason to use us is the best thing with that. You know, again, people don't buy from other businesses necessarily. They buy from people. So they know you. They're going to get to know more of what we do with everything that we have planned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that people will also continuously refer you when they see that, and they want to stay with you longer when they can see businesses progressing. Right. And this is something that we have to be very, very careful of in the home service industry, because to people, most general people, they don't think that there's a way that a septic company can really elevate itself.
And I feel like if you're not in the industry, you don't understand fully,
Sure.
So you don't know. So I think being able to show them that it's possible, and, you know, with being able to become a franchise, mm-hmm. which, you know, it's already taking off. And I think that's just going to really show people that no matter what home industry or not even a home industry, it's really going to show what people are capable of and think I can do that too.
Sure. It's a great example of that. It's just so cool to be able to have a team that is such an advocate for things that we're doing and helping us expand businesses by providing new opportunities, you know, and different skill sets that they have as well. So it's really cool when you involve your team in the things that you want to do to elevate your business. You really have to do that in order for everybody to get behind it. I think that's why there's been such a great success with the rebrand and the name of everything now. I thought for a long time people would be like, yeah, priority. And it's still like priority everything. But people have really embraced and say HomeField more now. I really do hear that than priority. And I'm like, interesting. But with that, when you do a rebrand, obviously that's not just something that overnight you're like, we dropped priority pumping and now we're HomeField OnSite Environmental. How have you been rolling that out to our customers currently and to new people finding us online? Because we got all kinds of new shit that we're doing now.
Yeah, so with that, it's been crazy. Like, it was one of those for us. We're like, when do we do it? When do we just rip the Band-Aid off and say we're HomeField? How far do we go with that? What social media channels do we change? Do we do it all at once? And I think it's just a learning curve. Like, I've never done this before, and I know, Tanya, you have, so having that experience, and then someone also, doing a little bit of research, finding out, okay, what do our customers need to know? Like, what are the most valuable things? So first it was, us finding out about it and, really understanding what the new brand is all about. I think that's super important to be able to have, the employees and everyone behind the scenes know what, we're trying to accomplish with that to set the right tone. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, we did a 10-day countdown. We dropped a few hints before that saying something big, something epic is coming. And then we did a 10-day countdown. So with that, we got a lot of people involved at trying to guess what it is. Is it a name change? Is it this? What could it be? Mm-hmm. So then once we rolled that out, we had you do an announcement. We did an email. So we're trying to do all the channels. And then, eventually we switched all the names on social media over and let people know, again, this is HomeField and we were priority and we still are priority, if that makes sense. But this is where we're at now with everything. So it's been a slow progression. Next is, going to be getting the trucks done. And, Lauren's gotten questions in the office. People call and, well, I'm a little confused. Is this HomeField or is this priority? Mm-hmm. So she has a little conversation, and I think that builds a little bit more engagement and trust and understanding of who we are, whether they've used us or haven't used us. So I think it's just been great, and we're going to continue to have to spread the word because people, that are in residential have only ever needed us every 2 to 3 years for pumping. So they're not going to know right away if they're not, following our stuff. But hopefully we can build that up and really get a good following and just let people know, hey, priority is HomeField and we're always going to be here.
Yeah, I think that's really, when I rebranded from TKS Contracting to Priority Pumping, we were much smaller. So it was so much easier. There wasn't as much to lose if we lost our, 200 Instagram followers or something like that, right? But we didn't. So that worked out great. I know that we've had some questions around like Google My Business, our reviews, how do you flip to a new website? Like all these things have been going on in the background, which I know we've done a shit ton of studying on because we don't want to lose any of that stuff because that's your reputation online.
Right.
That's what you've built. Our website ranks impeccably for like every category that we actually serve. Our Google My Business has, or Google Business Profile now, excuse me, has the most reviews ×4 out of any other of our competitors, I say in air quotes, around the valley, which is absolutely crazy because we're one of the youngest septic companies in the valley. That's our online reputation that gets us so much business. So if somebody's going to be doing this, like we have found that everything needs to kind of come a little bit at a time and a little bit at a time. The Google Business Profile has very much been like the research we've done has been wait. Do a little bit and then wait. Like we're going to rebrand the trucks. Then we're going to post pictures of the trucks. We're already posting daily updates on the post feed for Google Business Profile. Yep. So they can see that it started integrating. We want people to start leaving reviews where they say HomeField instead of Priority Pumping. Even with the name change, it's going to be Priority Pumping doing business as HomeField East Valley. So you just kind of got to go with some little chunks at a time with stuff. Right now, we kind of have 2 websites that's running because until the HomeField one gets the street cred that our other one has,
we don't want to lose that.
So I can understand where maybe there's some confusion with things that are coming in. And I think that's where the buy-in with the team and the team being behind the decision of the rebrand means so much because it's a really simple explanation that people will get. But it's just knowing what to say for those things. So I think that it's really cool to just continue that conversation. You can't even just tell the team one time, this is what we're doing.
Right.
Well, what's next? When are the trucks getting done? When are we getting our new uniforms? When are we, everybody has a question for me every day about something that's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it's stuff I haven't even thought about. And I'm like, I need to be better at communicating all of this to everybody. Or I'll tell you ladies in the office, and then the guys in the field don't get the memo. So communication, just clear communication is so, so, so important. If someone is considering a rebrand, what do you think is the most important thing they should consider when maybe coming up with a new name, new logo colors, things like that? Like, why would somebody want to do a rebrand?
So I think the biggest thing to consider is, like, we're in the industry, we know and we understand it. So I think it's kind of taking a step back and looking, through your customer's eyes, like, okay, who is my ideal customer? How do I want to target this? And like I said, with priority, it just kind of portrayed that priority pumping. And you just do pumping. Well, with HomeField OnSite Environmental, like, we're so much more. And there's so much more to septic than just pumping it. There's the behind the scenes. There's where does it go after, and being able to somehow evolve that into how you communicate with your customers. So like with HomeField, you said, our reviews are stellar. So how do we continue that without losing the customers and the kind of the fan base, I guess you'd say, of what we already have? So anybody that's considering a rebrand, I definitely highly encourage them to put people behind the scenes. If you have somebody that doesn't want to be on the camera, find other ways to include them, but show the faces of who you are, who the team is. That's so valuable, so important.
So very important. And just like you were saying, it's looking through the eyes of the ideal customer, which I know we're going to talk about in the next episode here. But it's very interesting that sometimes we look at our business and we're like, we're in the septic pumping business. And that's what most people's answer is. Mm-hmm. We install septic tanks. And people are like, and? If you ever feel like that when you're explaining your business, you've got to dive deeper into what you actually do.
Right.
And so what we have really done in our industry is, even with the rebrand, this did not change at all. We provide education to residential and commercial homeowners, businesses, on how to properly take care of the wastewater coming from their homes, coming from their restaurants, coming from the hotels. Like, we are an education business. We want to educate you on how to properly do this, how to properly have something installed, how to properly permit things. We are teaching people how to do stuff all the time. The service itself is almost like the result of the education. Mm-hmm. Because if we don't give the education, even over the phone when they call to get a price, they're going to compare us to every other Joe, Jeff, and Jerry that they've already called and say, you guys are more expensive than they are.
And I think with that is we have to give them a reason to understand why our pricing is the way it is. I mean, we don't have to provide an explanation, the price is the price. Mm-hmm. And so many people have said that. But I think when you build up that relationship and you give them that value and they understand, these people know what they're doing and they know what they're talking about. So I think I'm going to trust them versus Joe Schmo over here who just, it's $500, or whatever. But no education is given. Like, I feel like if you include the homeowner or even the restaurant owner, whoever it is that you're going out to, and you make them part of it, it's like you're getting this whole experience. It's not just septic tank pumping. It becomes the education, you're building a relationship, and they're going to remember that. And, it's that feeling that you make them remember. So they're going to come back to you.
Sure. You're always making somebody feel something, mm-hmm. whether it's shitty or excited. You're making them feel something. I remember early in training technicians and telling them, you have to look at this like, if you will look at every job you go out to, like you're going out to your mama's house, you treat her that way. And I say her because most of the time we're going out to the houses, we're dealing with her. Yeah. She called us, or she's at home. So really just doing that, just being kind, being very thorough, educating them, because as a woman that goes to service businesses, auto mechanic shops or things like that, where you can oftentimes feel like, do I really need another cabin air freshener or filter?
Well, it's like you don't want to be taken advantage of.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. And we don't want that to happen. And so it's been just kind of under the pretense of they're calling us for one of two reasons. One, we're their first septic provider. They've never used one before. They don't know what they're even talking about or what they need, really. They just got things coming up in their bathtub, right?
Right.
Or they're calling someone else because they don't remember or disliked the people that were there before. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, I truly believe it's because they don't remember. Because they didn't leave them feeling really anything memorable.
Right.
And I mean, it's literally the little things that the guys do out there. It's always the little things. Like we had the review with Justin Carr where he was talking about, with the homeowner was talking about, he even took time to play with my dog, you know?
Yeah, that's like our highest rated review.
Yeah.
And it was just something so simple that other people might not even take the time to do. You know, it's just something so simple. Playing with the dog for a couple minutes, you know, that's how they remember us. And people think, gosh, like I want nice people coming out to my house because I don't want some stranger showing up, not knowing who he is and questioning, do I really even want him on my property? You know, that uneasy feeling. It's your home and I never want to feel uneasy with someone coming into my home and, you know, not feeling comfortable and putting a bad taste for the whole industry in their mouth.
Sure. Yeah. So that's really what we've worked on with the HomeField. You know, this is your home team. Really like adequate it to like it's family, you know, when you come from a small town like we come from, you know, like Friday Night Lights was a thing. You know, everybody in the entire town went to football games. You know, my daughter is in high school here now. And I'm like, I want to go to a football game. She's like, Mom, that's weird. Who are you going to watch there? And I'm like, I don't know. I just want to watch a football game. Because I remember that feeling of that hometown team. You know, like everybody in my small town went to like the homecoming parade and then everyone went to the homecoming game. You know, it was like almost like town shut down because it was homecoming that day. It wasn't just for the high school kids. Everybody was having a great time with that. So I think people have really good memories tied around like home team, you know, the home field advantage, which we've really, you know, leveraged a lot in the upcoming things that we're going to be marketing and new services that we're going to be offering. So it really truly is, if you're thinking about the rebrand, think about the feeling that you want people to have.
Yep.
When they first see your name, when they meet your people, like how can you sprinkle that, you know, like sugar everywhere within your business? I think it's so, so cool. But the important thing is that you want to sprinkle that to your ideal customers. And that's what we're going to talk about on the next episode of Ladies Kicking Ass.
That's a wrap, ladies. Now go out there, own the hell out of your dreams, and keep kicking ass. Want to keep this fire going? Connect with us on social. All the links are in the show notes. And if you're ready for a sisterhood that levels up life and business, be sure to check out Badass Inner Circle. Stay bold, stay fierce, and be unapologetically you. I'll catch you on the next episode. Let's do this.